Hola, hola, mi bella gente. Welcome to the Que Madre Show. You are listening to 96.5 FM LP, and we are here with you. You're with us. Estamos en comunidad. We are so grateful for you tuning in, whether you're on YouTube or on the radio, listening to us live. We're so grateful for your time. Te queremos, te adoramos. We're here for you, and we have an awesome theme today. Today estamos platicando, estamos tomando nuestro cafecito, nuestro tecito, about reclaiming your journey and redefining success. And we have an amazing guest speaker and your host. We have Ana Rosa Rizzo Centino, hermosura diosa. We are missing our beautiful soul sister, but if you're watching us on YouTube, I feel the spirit of Siobhan Hoover with us, warrior mother. So we're sending so much love and so many healing vibes towards a beautiful soul sister. And I'm going to pass it on to Ana Rosa Rizzo to talk about our amazing guest that we're so grateful for your time, for your spirit, for your journey, and we're grateful to be in community with you all. Passing on to Ana Rosa Rizzo.
Thank you, Ali Cortez. Hermosa. So I feel like I've been in suspense waiting for this day. I'm like, when's Rene going to join us? When's Rene going to join us? So today is the day that Rene joins us. So I'm going to share his bio with you in Spanish first. Rene García-Hernandez, él y him, se identifica como un hombre indocumentado, queer y de color, que es de primera generación y un agente de esperanza. Recibió su licenciatura de Sociología de la Universidad Estatal de California, Northridge, en 2015 y obtuvo una maestría en Administración de Educación y Liderazgo de la Universidad Estatal de California, Channel Islands, en 2020. René es un director ejecutivo, una persona impulsada por la comunidad, ha servido a la comunidad durante los últimos 10 años en varios roles. Actualmente es cofundador de Bienestar Counseling, Coaching y Consulting, por sus siglas en inglés. Bienestar CCC en Instagram, miembro de la Junta de Adelante Charter School, vicepresidente del Centro de Defensa Legal de Inmigración para el Inmigrante de Santa Bárbara y miembro de la Mesa de Creative Children's Project. And for those of you who are Spanish challenged, I will share this in English as well. Rene García-Hernandez, him, identifies as an undocuqueer cis male of color who is first generation and an agent of hope. He received his BA in sociology from CSU Northridge in 2015 and obtained a master's degree in education and leadership administration from CSU Channel Islands in 2020. Rene is a community-driven individual. He has served the community for the past 10 years in several roles. Currently, he is an executive director, a co-founder of Bienestar Counseling, Coaching, and Consulting at Bienestar CCC on Instagram, a board member of Adelante Charter School, vice chair at Santa Barbara Immigration Legal Defense Center, and a board member at Creative Children's Project. Welcome, Rene. Thank you for joining us.
Yay, gracias, thank you. I'm excited. We're finally here. Yay.
Well, we're so excited to hear about your journey, right? We're talking about we want to reclaim our journey and redefine success. And what does that mean to you? Tell us more about, there's all these, identities and labels, but your journey, share more.
Yeah, great. Well, you all learned a little bit more about me in the bio, but I do have to acknowledge, first and foremost, my mommy and my sister, the two women in my life who've really shaped me to who I am and who I'm becoming and who I will be, alongside two strong women like yourselves that I look up to. You both know this. I've shared this with both of you. But it really, especially during this month of acknowledgement for women, right? Like, I have my job to do as a cis male, and that is to use that privilege and that power in a society where women are looked down upon. And we have to reframe that and really move forward. So this is a call to men, self-identifying men as well, especially if you perceive and look that part, right? Let's do our job. Women deserve better. Black women deserve better. Latina women deserve better. And I would not be here if it wasn't for that bridge that those women in my life really built very robustly with so much love and so much wisdom and compassion for me to keep going y echándole ganas. So gracias, mommy y hermanita Lucy, my little big sister. I love you all. And this is for you all. This is for you all, and reclaiming my journey and my undocumentedness in the society where, you know, folks like myself just are still in the shadows. And cheers to the success that I'll share with you all amongst all this. So with that said, yeah, I other things that I am. I mean, I'm a brother, like I said, I'm a son, I'm a dancer, me encanta bailar. Yeah, right. I'm like, if you see me moving, it's just my inner child dancing, because that's what I did when I was little. And also my dancing heart. I'm in such a moment in time where I'm just living in joy, you all. Like I'm just so happy, and like healing is so powerful and has been so good to me, right? Both physically, porque me miro all snatched, baby, thick, como dice Queen Beyonce, and like, yeah, like my mind is just, there's so much more clarity where I want to go in with my mind and my actions, right? And my heart is just, again, like I said, dancing. So cheers to all that. Part of that, I guess, with the question you asked of like, what does reclaiming my journey mean, and what does success mean? My journey most oftentimes has been what people have wanted it to be, and it was not my fault. And that's been such a process of forgiving and grieving and just accepting, right? So that I can reclaim and redefine what I want my journey to be, and share the success and abundance that has come with all that. So yeah, for me, reclaiming my journey is really one, naming it, right? Naming to tame it is what I've learned from you both. Naming the injustices in our systems that have really led my trajectory to where it's at, but have harmed me so much along the way. So many paper cuts, you know, so many paper cuts that I'm healing along the way because of these systems that have really shaped my journey. But I have found the light, you know, outside of those shadows as an undocu person, and it really has helped me to reclaim my journey. So I'm excited to share more about all that when we get there. But the success you will, I'm going to let the audience kind of define that as they hear my narrative. And I'd like for them to define what my success is, and then we can maybe chat a little bit about where we want to go with that.
Yeah, no, that's powerful, Rene. And I love, you know, where we're really going about, yes, we name it, and we also talk, because there's this like, okay, and that's it. We name it, that's it, we healed. There's so much more identifying, like, and knowing, bring it from like unconscious to conscious, and then to even profound soulful conscious, right? Of like, and this is how it was shaping me, has been shaping me, could have kept shaping me. And so I'm really excited to hear about that part that we don't really talk about when it comes to healing. So yeah.
Well, I mean, when we're talking about undocumentedness, it brings forth a lot of rage for me. You know, with my family coming here undocumented, and just feeling like both parties use that as a tool, you know, to gain favor. And yet and still, with a Democrat in the highest office, we still have kids in cages, but we're calling it something else now for some reason, like children in a something facility. I'm like, cool, it's still a cage.
Like bullshit, yeah, like yeah. Thank you for naming that, Anna. Yeah, right. There's still, I hope we get to converse through the journey, right, that will go on in me sharing my reclaiming of self, really, and power. The privilege does the privilege does still come, right, because of intersections we have. But while there's this whole other side to this world of being undocumentedness, right, and how we see it in our systems that are so broken and so dehumanizing.
Yes. So let's start from, you know, where do you want to start? Because I know I'm like, I want you to define this, right? To take us into that journey.
Yeah, because we could
you.
talk about dance. I mean, we're both but whatever you want to talk about, we're here for it.
Let's go. Yeah, I mean, again, right, how funny that the conversation has begun like this. The decision wasn't mine, right? In the way my journey started, my mom took a leap of faith for her selfless self, right? And for her love for this little human that absolutely brought whatever I brought into her life at the age of 2, and so she fled her country, left her home. She's the eldest of 14, de Purándiro, Michoacán, and she crossed the border because what she shared with me is, I just wanted a better life for you, which I'm still figuring out what that means. And it comes in pieces, right? It comes in waves of what that definition is and what that turns out to be. But that's really where my journey started. I crossed over as a güerito in a plane, which that itself is such a privilege in the context of the undocu-self and the undocumented journey, right? And the immigrant journey. So pasé como güerito. And I was over. My mom's crossing was the one that, I hope she is able to tell her story one day, because that was, anytime I hear that story, I'm just so in awe of how someone can put their lives on the line for someone else. And I think that is also just pinning it for us as an audience. When I talk about action and justice and liberation and dismantling, that's where I learned that from. I learned co-conspiracy. I learned to show the fuck up for someone because my mom showed the fuck up for me. And so that's where I learned that. That was a lot. I see reactions. I feel them.
Editing, just so you know, we're on the radio, so we have to watch our
beep, beep, beep. Got it.
But that's the only thing, right?
Oh, okay. My apologies.
Ana. Ella conoce la gente del radio más.
We got it. I will do my due diligence. But my mama absolutely, that's where I learned that, right? I learned action and selflessness and the power of doing something for others with nothing in return from that experience, from her experience that included me in it. Been in Santa Barbara my entire life. I grew up on the east side of Santa Barbara before all the gentrification that's been happening, because it is no longer what I knew. That's if you know, you know, como dicen. And so, yeah, I went to, for those of you who know Santa Barbara, there's the haves and there's the have-nots. And it is two very different communities who still interact, who still coexist, who still work together, who still go against each other, right? But that is the community that we call Santa Barbara. And I grew up on the east side, definitely on the side of the have-nots, but that have a lot, and you will learn that in my story. And so, yeah, went to Franklin Elementary, Eagles, Cleveland too. I'm just kidding, Cleveland folks. Wait, did you all go to Cleveland?
No, I'm just imagining.
I was gonna be like, saying.
Rene, and I'm just like, oh my god, so adorable.
¿Cómo?
I could just, imagine you being little Rene and just like how awesome to see you grow up, like.
Yeah, it's an abundant and beautiful community that I get to serve now, being on the board of Adelante Charter School. Still great families there. But yeah, went to Franklin, went to Santa Barbara Junior High, go Condors, and then once a Don, always a Don. I went to Santa Barbara High School. So that was my trajectory here locally. And I'm sharing that because that's where I found out about my undocumented status. Every year, if you know, in this community, every student looks forward to the Washington State trip. It's like during your social science course in 7th grade, you get to go, right? Because you got to go on the night hike. You get to do there's like a haunted walk at night. You get to go see DC, and you get to go learn about, the history of our states. And everyone talks about it, right? 7th grade, that's the trip you want to go to. And so little Rene, of course, wanted to go just like everyone else. We all know that there's processes for these things. So of course there's an application, there's financial fees involved, and of course travel, right? You're going out of the state. And so little Rene got the application, filled it out for his mom, right? I had to fill it out for my mom because that's our job. We have to translate, we have to interpret, we have to all the things. And filled it out, and all I said, okay, mom, aquí ya sign. This is where you do it, aquí, y ya me van a decir cuánto va a ser, y luego nosotros en pagos. At that time, I was like, I'll collect cans and bottles, we'll recycle, we'll figure it out, right? Like that was the hustle. And unfortunately, I got the application back. I got the application back with big highlighted, right over the SS number sign, and under, right, like social security number, you need this. My mom didn't fill it out. I was like, oh, she missed it. All right. I take it home and I hand the application back to my mom, and she starts crying. And I have never seen my mom cried before then. Yeah, if you see the definition of joy, my mom is, I mean, all moms, shout out to all the madres, right? Like, you all provide joy and happiness to the best of your abilities to your children, to your peoples. And that's what my mom has always done. And she just, I mean, I saw her soul leave her body. And I didn't understand. I was just kind of like, okay, like, yeah, like, what's going on? She gives it back and just says, well, then no vas a ir, like, no puedes ir. And I was just like, like little Rene, just like, no, like, but I want to go, like, we're gonna go see ghosts, like, come on, I gotta be a cool kid, shit, like, I mean, shoot, like, I want to go do this. And so I brought it back, took it to the teacher. The teacher was like, no, Rene, you need this filled out. And bring it back to my mom. And again, right, same reaction. She's like, okay, sit down. I need to tell you something. And she really just did her best, to express from her knowing of what the system was in education, and also just to her best knowledge of immigration and traveling, and right, in a completely different country. All to say, like, you're undocumented, like, tú no puedes, tú no tienes este número, you don't have this 9-digit number, you can't go. If not, they'll find us. You can't go. I'm so sorry. And of course, I was angry, upset, and still didn't understand to the fullest, right? I'm like, what? Why? I was really angry. I was just like, well, this isn't fair. Like, this isn't fair that all these kids get to do this and I don't. And that was the turning point, I think, for me in education in general, and was like, okay, there's cracks in this, in the school, I called it, right? Now we know it's a system. But for me then, I was like, yeah, this isn't okay. There's things missing. And then that's when I started to see things like, well, why are the other Latinos who are speaking Spanish over there, and why am I over here? Like, why am I in a class full with white folks? Why am I eating in the quad and not the cafeteria with everybody else with the free reduced lunch? Like, why am I not, like, all these whys were popping up in my life within the system of like, ¿qué onda? And the story I like to always tell that's funny, right? There's still joy in this coexistence of like the reality and harm of these things, right? And so I was like, why am I in band and not orchestra? Because I played violin when I was young, but when we went from 6th grade to 7th grade, not knowing the system again, right, I got put into 0 through 7th period. So you're thinking, oh, mariachi band, right? Like banda, I'm going to sign up for band. I signed up for band instead of orchestra. Who knew the difference? So I had to learn how to play flute. But that's a story for another time. But asking those critical questions of why, learning, oh, I have double math, double English courses. People don't have that. Why? Right? Like Heather doesn't have that. My friend Heather doesn't have that. My friend Susie doesn't have that. Like, why do I? And why do us? Right? The people in those classes with me. But anywho, that really was a big turning point for me in learning that I was undocumented. I saw it again in high school, which leads me to that point now. I found dance, y'all, or dance found me, right? It's always been there. Así que anytime we had free time doing things at home, siempre a bailar. That was the joy in our household. Every Saturday morning, music and chores, right? Like, you gotta earn your $5 for the week, Rene. Hey, $5, those were 5 cookies throughout the week in the lunch line. All right. And so I teachers in my life saw that, wow, Rene, you are a beautiful mover. You're very talented. I took up color guard, which is the flag people in school. Shout out to my color guard peeps. Yeah, both my coach and the dance instructor at Santa Barbara High School, who's still there, shout out to Miss Beth Goldman. Both were like, you are really good at dance. Like, you should look into doing things professionally or outside or more serious, right? Because you're good. All to behold that my coach recorded me and auditioned me for a world-class color guard group in Wisconsin. And they accepted me. And so as quick as this story is going to shift right now, that's as quick as that happened as well. Next thing you know, little Rene, 16-year-old Rene, is on a plane that summer on the way to Madison, Wisconsin, to live in Wisconsin for 3 months, tour around the country, and dance and perform in front of millions in stadiums and do color guard. And that process was so hard because I always lived right, even with the experience of the 7th grade. I was like, I can't travel. I can't all these things. But luckily, I had teachers. I had that coach that went on and beyond. So Timothy Wyckoff, love you. I still am friends with him now to date. And he really did the research. He looked and said, no, we can do this. You're underage. You're 15, 16, like, you can travel with your school ID. This is the way we're going to do it. And he walked me through the entire process. And all that to say, he really is the person that taught me later on in life, this is how I'm going to show up for youth. This is why I'm going to do the work that I'm going to do moving forward, because he was the one person that showed me, you can do it. And if you can't do it alone just yet, I'm going to do it with you. So yeah, y'all, I was on a trip traveling the country, 12 states that summer at the age of 16, and really learned, wow, so a status can't stop me. And I always asked myself, okay, then what next? If it can't stop me, why is it stopping all of us? And yeah, that led me to continue dance, and that'll come back in my later days. But to finish off high school story for you all, and this undocumented journey, right, and how it impacted me. Going to college, I never wanted to go to college because of the experiences I had been experiencing in school, right? The double English, the double math, the not going to Washington, D.C., the being teased and bullied in high school because I danced as a male. And my English, I always had a stutter, and el español se me sale más fácil que el inglés, you know? So that was a whole journey. But once I decided my junior year to pursue college, not because of my love for academia, that has been recent love that I have found. It was more for survival. You know, at that time, 2008, 2009, 2010, undocumented people, educational systems became sanctuaries for undocumented folks. And so for me, I was like, if the only place for me to be legitimately safe is school, then I'm going to go to college. I don't like it, but I'm going to go. If I'm going to be safe, then ni modo, I'm going to start liking books, because shoot, you know. And as we know, access to higher education, I mean, there's so many inequities, there's so many gaps, and so much injustices within the system that I really, really decided, okay, I need to know how to pay, right? I need to figure out my financial burdens. That's not just for undocumented people. There's so many people that financial barriers are number one leading cause for folks not to go to pursue higher education, vocational school, or other professional development, right? So I wanted to be cool kid, y'all. You know those chords, you all know what I'm talking about. High school, you know, the kids get the chords. Did you want one too? Anna, did you get one? Did you all get one?
Graduation, I was like, wait, how did they get what? I missed that thing.
Yeah, well, those, no, yeah, exactly. Like those chords, I was like, I mean, my fabulous self back then, right? My queerness at its best. I was like, oh my God, I want to be fabulous. I want those chords. For us, it was yellow and red ones. One was for community service, the other was for like if you have a like honor society or whatever. And so I remember going to my counselor for the first time, right? High school, 4 years of high school, and I went to my counselor the first time in junior year, and was like, okay, like how do I get one of those? Because I gotta look cute for graduation photos. Literally, no kidding. She's still there too. I can't say her name, but she's there. Um, I asked her, and she said, "Oh, well, students like you don't get those."
What?
We're on radio. Pause. We're on radio, Anna. Right? But let that in.
Okay, I'll panic that when the time comes.
Right? We'll do our research. But
Here.
My mama is mad.
right. I was floored. I mean, I really was. I was like, no, being the kid I was like, no, I was persistent. I was resilient. I was like, no, I'm going to get this because I gotta look cute, all right. Like that was really, really my reasoning, y'all. And that's okay. I'm saying that purposefully for educators that may be tuning in or folks that work with high school students now. Like your words impact, your words can hurt, your words can amplify, your words can uplift someone, your words can save someone. And like for me at that moment in time, like it really hurt me. I was like, wow, so another person doesn't believe in me. Like, luckily because of the skills I obtained, not just from my mom and my sister, right? And Timmy, like my journey in dance, the discipline, the routine, the pushing yourself, like those attributes and characteristics, right, really shaped me to fight, right, for those chords. You better bet Rene hustled, y'all. All right, volunteered. I got, I think, the second highest amount of hours in the whole school within the 2 years, my last 2 years of high school. In perspective, that was almost over 400 hours. Back then, that was a lot. Now, students, kudos to the high school, they are doing like 500 hours plus. Power to you all. This is why we need to listen to them more, let them follow them. They're there. But I did that, got my community service cord. So I got the red cord. I'll show pictures later. She was cute. She was cute or whatever. I was like, yeah, take a picture of me. And I actually got, right, exactly. I worked my angles on it. You right. I was like, back then there was American Tops model, right? So I was like, find the light, find the light. What would she say? Find the light. Exactly.
I just smiled.
Like baby, I could smize, okay. And anyway, I ended up not getting the yellow cord, which was the National Honor Society cord, not because I didn't get the 3.5 or above, y'all. Somehow little Rene did it. The requirement was 4 semesters of a 3.5 or above. Well, you better bet Rene loved them books. I got it together and I earned my 3.5. I graduated high school with a 3.6. That was huge for my 2.1, right? My sophomore year and my 1.2 my freshman year. But I worked so hard because I wanted to be safe. I wanted to go to college to be safe. And so all jokes aside, right, and fashion aside, I did earn it, but I didn't get it because yet again, I learned, oh, if you want to buy this $10 cord, you have to have a social security number to be in the National Honor Society. And what a bummer. What a bummer, not just for the looks and fun, right, but also that it limited me from scholarships. It limited me from really showing off that I was a smart kid too. That I mean, because in our society, we tend to favor the good immigrant. We tend to favor the academic folks, right? And there's a prestige, this eliteness, this privilege to it, right? We favored UCs over CSUs. So how it made me feel a whole lot, because at that time, even applying to school was a big deal. Oh, are you going to the UCs? Which UCs did you get to? Oh, you're going to private school? Wow, how cool. Right? And little Rene was like, well, I'm going to community college because I don't have a car and I can walk all the beachfront from the east side to City College, and we got the bus, and I don't got money to live on my own. I also don't have scholarships, like, so all the realities really just profoundly came to me in 2010 is when I graduated, and was like, damn, like, shoot, like not having this 9-digit number is really impacting me in all those ways. But that journey was a journey of depression, of self-harm, of me being angry, not just at myself, but being angry at my mom, my culture, being angry at everyone around me that was succeeding because I couldn't belong, because I couldn't be with them. And so, and it was destructive. It made me lose my community. It made me lose my self of sense, myself of like all my friends left, like there was so much loss because of these injustices and these cracks and these things that I didn't have access to. And you all may be thinking, Dan, like, Rene, that was like more than 10 years ago. That's 2010. People, we are still there now. Yes, California Dream Act happened. That's how I went to school. Yes, we got DACA. Great. But there's requirements, there's limits, those are bandages. We have high school students, we have younger generations of people that are undocumented who are living in the shadows. And so my trajectory was really interwoven, right, and shaped because of all those things I shared. And college was just it was the same. It was always, okay, how are you going to survive? As I said, in the California Dream Act passed at the state level. So, and I believe that's also where I saw you. You were boycotting, you were in community with me. I remember seeing you speak in the immigrant, like, right, I'm getting a full circle of emotion. Yeah, I remember seeing like you, Ralph, Dr. Ralph, and like other people, Hazel, Lucas, people who are like still making change now in different ways, right? That I admired because I was that Naira Pacheco, right? Like these were activists in our community who I was like, I want to be like them. Like, they're in college, they're doing their thing, they're the ones fighting. Like, why can't I fight with them, right? I'm bringing all this up because safety is a huge part of this conversation, and that status, right? That happens to impact my self of identity and the way I navigate my journey, right? And how I'm learning to reclaim it. So I'm naming all that because I wasn't out and about physically. As I said, I don't think I mentioned it, but I'm the eldest in my family and my chosen family. So I don't know my biological family. They all stayed in Mexico, all 13 of them. And my dad, he's the youngest of 14. So you all do the math there. I don't know any of them. I just know my mom, my sister, and my dad. With that said, we grew up on the east side in a small room where my sister and mom are still there in nuestro cuartito with our chosen family, Los Perez. And they're a big family. I love them. And I was the eldest so with those siblings, I'm the eldest of 7. And so I absorbed that responsibility as well, right? And that expectation that I have now come to embrace. And so with that, for me, my safety, the safety piece here is I didn't go out and scream, and I wasn't loud at that time in community organizing because I did not feel safe. Not just for me, but I had the safety, the responsibility of keeping others safe at that time in my life. So I chose to show up in different ways. I got people there, but I was not there. But these are people that I looked up to and was always admiring, like, your physical appearance in those in the faces of fight, right? To name what I felt, but I couldn't name. So I guess I want to take the time and thank you all. I've gotten to work with some of you all in the past in my work time of this journey, and you all really have showed up, not just in community to organize and bring attention to such injustices, but you have done a lot of work in the background. And I just want to take the time to thank you publicly. Mil gracias to Lucas, Hazel, you, Ana, Naira, Dora, who just, you all have really showed me how can people show up and why we all play different roles in this fight and effort to really make impact and change. So just thank you, mil gracias, and I hope you all get to hear this. And because of that community effort, we did it, y'all. We got the California Dream Act, the state one passed. I was able to go to CSUCI and CSU Northridge. Aunque trabajé mis 6 trabajos, you know, I made it happen. I graduated undergrad with a 2.5. I'm saying this for the younger folks listening. No importa, you do it, you know, you do it, you graduate, you get that diploma if that is what you wish you want. And it really got me into this workforce. This workforce has been a tremendous ride, y'all. It is hard, but I've reclaimed that journey. The things that have gotten me to my success now in having multiple jobs, right, in different ways, who have allowed me to join social groups that we deserve a seat at the table for. It was all because I reclaimed not what the journey looked like, but what I brought to the journey. And what I brought to the journey were those things that all these powerful people taught me, you know, to persist, to not give up, to be smart, to be curious, to be creative, to be intentional, to pause and breathe before I reacted, you know, like, yeah, right? Like, wait, how do I do this? And I'll pause there to integrate that was a blessing that this status brought me, not because I wanted it, but because there's consequences for people like me if we react. If I react, I will be treated by law differently. So I was taught to, for survival, to pause, right? So there was that attribution of this that was brought to me and that I've now equipped myself with and practice in different facets of my life, to pause, breathe, think about what I'm going to do and why. Yeah, it just brought in me so much. It's brought in light, right, within these shadows that I've been living in, to navigate, because navigating in the shadows, y'all, is dark. It's scary to just keep moving and trying to feel things and hope that it isn't a sharp thing that's going to hurt you. You might think you're talking to someone that you trust, right, in the dark, but it's someone else that isn't on your side. And I've had to really acknowledge and reclaim that journey, right, of not what it appeared to be, but what it was, because I made that happen and people behind me made that happen to bring that light into the shadows. I'm referring to this analogy of shadows because that is what the movement had been, right? That's how we refer to people like me in history. There was a lot of coming out of the shadows, but during the 2014 election, I know I recited back into the shadows. We have an election coming up next year. There's things that we can do. But if we continue in the shadows, right, we won't be heard. We need to find the light in the shadow that we carry within ourselves, right, to be able to really bring the power of people to the result of what this can be in the future. I say that with grace, with understanding, but I hope that you all just like understand this status does not define you. It does not define us. My sister told me she's from here, doesn't hold the same status. So that secondhand trauma, right, that I think you both can attest to and have experienced, that does not define you. You know, we know you love us. I know you love us. And like I told my sister, I know you forget that I'm undocumented, Lucy, and that's okay. It's not your fault, right? It's okay. We can still move forward together to make the change we need to see in the world. So I guess to say that, I hope today brought you a little bit of light in that dark place. I know I'm still tengo una patita afuera. Today was my like outcoming of the shadows again, y'all. So thank you for that, and just listening to a little bit of my story and my journey and how undocumented, the status really has impacted me and continues to do so. Sigo con ese status pero aquí ando como director ejecutivo en mesas directivas y haciendo lo que pueda para que podamos seguir adelante. And we've always been here, we've always been here as undocu folks. We're still on stolen land. We're still on land where genocides happened. We need to acknowledge that. We need to do our part regardless of status, and just keep moving forward with intention and grace and forgiveness to self and others, so that we can work together. But yeah, that's been my reclaiming of my journey, but the journey that really has kind of led itself.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rene, so much. So really appreciate you using, your voice and so many lessons here too, right? About like our role, about resiliency, about the power of community. I heard, las mamás, las hermanas, like Timothy, like, right? Like, there's so much, in all of us being here together and how powerful it is. And also like honoring your resiliency and how you utilized a lot of like your strengths, your reframing, your healing to like really make meaning in a way that like this is not going to define me, and that's like a powerful light for the next generation too. And also a wake-up call too, like how our words can be healing and how they can really bring people down. And like we have, I'm doing my work. I'm like, yes, I want to like continue and like really make sure that I'm learning and also like keeping myself accountable. And I really appreciate Rene, bringing this to our show.
Yes, your journey is super powerful, and I think it's important to remind folks how hard we have to fight to continue to fight for migrant rights, because literally we are making up lines. Like that's what was done. These are imaginary lines. It's not like the earth was made like that by the creator, right? Where these lines are dividing us. And when you talk about that secondhand trauma, something that I haven't been vocal about is like when I experienced child sexual abuse as a kid, the way that the person got away with it is by telling me that he was going to call the migra on my dad if I said something. So like, even those of us that have our status, as citizens, there are still ways that we are damaged by this unjust system of calling some folks undocumented and others not. And so I think it's important to just remember that we're in this fight together, and that we need to not let anyone off the hook with this fight. Like, yeah, just because you're a Democrat doesn't mean that you're doing the right thing. It doesn't mean that you're changing the reality for people. So, let's just hold people accountable, and let's love on all of our community, regardless of documentation status, and make sure that people are not barred from experiences because of that.
And I'm wondering if you would share, there is like talking about that, like there's so much of you that was, like you said, it's not your fault, and like put into this like invisible, right? And living through the silent culture and having to navigate that, right? Where you said, right, like your sister, including, I will, as you're my hermano del alma, and I also am like, like in this, and I'm like, I'm accountable too, right? Like we don't see you, right, in your your whole journey, and there's parts that we choose to see. And so that accountability, what is that for those who are listening, and we want to be better at this, right? That we're not keeping parts of undocumented communities invisible, because that's part of the issue too, right? It's like, oh, we acknowledge part of your identity and part of the status that, like, yay, cheerful, and like, yeah, like, the palatable part of it.
The respectability.
The
politics.
respect, yeah, and that's a question, like how does that impact you?
Yeah, great question. Most recently, actually 2 days ago, I lost my flood to the I lost my car to the flood. My dyslexic brain is going, right, but we're gonna power through it. I lost my car to the flood in January, February, right? And so I've been carless for about a month, a little over a month now. I bought a car again, fortunately, right? Because of all this work and this journey, I'm where I'm at professionally, and I'm able to provide for myself. And others. That's still responsibility. I will name that for those of you who know me and are listening. There's a lot more that you don't see, right, beyond my social media posts. I provide for myself and others, but I did finally buy a car this past Saturday. Yay, it's beautiful. Bluey is cute, hybrid, helping Mama Earth. Yes, we're doing it. And it was a hard experience, y'all, because I was happy, right? Like there's that piece. Like I was like, I worked hard, tengo dinero, like damn, okay, like swipe my car, cash me out, baby, right? Like it felt good. And car shopping is such a privilege. I mean, I was able to like, oh, no me gusta eso, oh, sí me gusta eso, oh, quiero este grande, oh, este chiquito, ay, poquito feíto, I don't know if I want it, Like, wait, but does it match my outfit, right? Like it's a journey. Wait, what'd you say? Literally, too cold, too hot, yeah, exactly. I don't think I can pull that hair off though. She better get it. But anywho, I found the car, went through the experience and the whole journey, right? And then it came down to the process of running XYZ, right? Your numbers in all its context, from status to your credit score to your monthly stuff, all that, right? It's such a process. And that's where my reality came through, right? Where my undocumented status showed, and my sister and my friend were both there with me to go through this process together. And they both also were shocked when the things came back, right? They were like how? Like, wait, what? Like, oh, because of the impact those numbers had on me. Not because of what people may come to think right away of like, oh, well, then you don't know how to be financially responsible, or, oh, you don't know how. No. Undocu folks' credit score works differently, right? My sister has had it shorter. Like I didn't get my first credit card till I was 25. Right? When my sister got it when she was 18 and going off to college. Her credit journey has been different than my credit journey. My number is almost 200 below hers. Where my friend, who is the same age as me, his credit score is like way beyond mine and hers, right? There was those realities of like, wow, like because you hold this status, you're going to be impacted in this process in this way. And it really brought me down, y'all. Like them forgetting and then them kind of realizing like, oh, like, dang. Like you can't even do that. You can't even do that peacefully.
Yeah.
Like, dang, I was like, yeah. And I was so excited, right? I was like, oh, el carrito, Bluey, it's cute. And then I sit down and then I'm like, all this trauma came through of like, oh my God, here's like formal application work. Here's, again, they're going to come back with a highlight this number, like, right? And so it impacts me day in, day out. Like that was the most recent example. Yes, it impacted me. Yes, I'm going to have to, do the things I'm going to have to do now after buying a car the way I have to. And it's going to look unique and beautiful to me. And yes, it's going to be a hustle. So disclosure to all my friends, yes, it's already hard to track me because of all the resume that you heard in the beginning of the interview, right? But like con intención, like I gotta hustle. I gotta do what I need to do again to keep providing for myself and the people that I'm responsible for. Bless your soul if I can bless you. And so yeah, it shows up all the time, friends. Like day in, day out, there's still some days where I do wake up and I'm like, it's rough, right? It's rough to like wake up and know, okay, like, is my job still going to be there? Like, will these organizations keep batting for me? Like, will I be safe? Yeah, like, will I get stopped by a cop driving and then something happens, God forbid, but something happens and then I'm in a different process. Like, these things are so real day in, day out for me. People oftentimes do forget that I'm undocumented for a reason, right? For a reason, but I'm choosing to be here today like this. And it's just, yeah, I mean, I like, there's days where I want to get out of bed and I'm ready to go. And there's days that I get up and I'm like, will I come back through this door? Will I be back? Will I be back? And this is why I'm sharing this, I guess, to say, like, hug your loved ones, tell them you love them every day. Every day. You don't know if you'll get to see them again. Yeah, for me, it's a status that reminds me, right? But life also has its course. So for me, I've just reframed that in that way as well. Like, you may not come back through the store today. And that's still something that's real to me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I appreciate that because it's a reminder too. It's like, just you never know, right? And so to bring in more compassion, right? Like, you have done so much, and I want to honor your journey too, to be here. And like, I'm going to really center, right, being undocumented and what that means, how has that, shaped, and how I also stopped the shaping and reclaiming it. And also, I hear you acknowledging, like, not everyone is there yet. And so, like, empathy, compassion. People just really, they're like, oh, work harder, hustle more. And like, why are you so tired? You're so lazy. Like, all these very
bootstrap crap.
Yeah.
Pull yourself up by your bootstrap.
Yeah.
What if you don't have bootstrap?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to make just station identification. You are listening to Que Madre 96.5 FM LP. And we are here with our amazing hermano del alma, Rene García-Hernandez, and Ana Rosa Rizzo, and Ali Cortez a las órdenes, missing our soul sister Siobhan Hoover, and really having this conversation about, reclaiming your journey and redefining success. And thank you, Rene, for centering, the journey of being undocumented, what is seen, what is not seen, how we can be better, how we can be more compassionate, and just, really inspired by your journey. And also, acknowledging that there's more and there's more to do, and that we all play a role. And I really want to honor the people who have played a huge role in your life too, and the community, because I something I really admire too about Rene. You always bring it back to, like, community helped me here, community did this. And that's a beautiful way to center, like, how powerful our community is.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for blessing us with your presence. I love you so much. And yeah, you're fierce. You keep inspiring us every day. So gracias for sharing your journey, and hopefully you'll keep us along with the journey as you move forward.
Always, si no me jalan las orejas, así dice mi mamá.
Y luego te damos un abrazote. Igual nosotros, I'm like, jálame la oreja.
No, right? No, don't physically harm anyone. But yeah, really quick, if I may, though, that last piece of success for folks, I'll leave us with this. One, you have to define success yourself, right? Society already has so many definitions of success for all of us, and it sucks, right? Like, and some of it is not, right. It's darn. And many times it's this romanticized definition. It's this unrealistic definition. So I encourage everyone to take time to define success and what that means to you. It can be tangible, it can be non-tangible. You decide what that is. My mom was very successful because she crossed that border and she brought me the life that I have today. She was successful, and I currently am successful, not because I graduated and not because I survived, but because I keep putting my heart first. And that is the biggest success of my life. I will continue to put my heart first, and I will continue to ask critical questions to myself, and I will continue to redefine success, because that measure of success changes every day for me, y'all. Some days it's this, some days it's that. So I like to see success as this like non-binary spectrum, if you will, right? This fluid spectrum of what it may be. And so may that journey take you somewhere, and may you like just embrace all that success, because there's so much success and abundance in all our ser and all our hearts and all our like just community. And I hope that we can just celebrate each other and that success, because it feels good, y'all. It feels really good.
And you can't go wrong if you're putting your heart first.
Period. Agreed.
Eso. Muchas gracias, bella gente, for listening to Que Madre on 96.5 FM LP. This has been a huge honor to be with you on Community, and we look forward to more beautiful pláticas in the future.
Yay.
Hasta luego.